It has stood in silence for more than 4,500 years, long before the rise of Rome, before the birth of Christ, before the first compass guided sailors across the sea. The Great Pyramid was already ancient. Empires have risen beneath its shadow. Empires have vanished into history. Kings have claimed it. Conquerors have admired it. Millions have stood before it, all asking the very same question: how? Not who built it. Archaeologists have uncovered compelling evidence that the Great Pyramid was constructed during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu around 2560 BC. The real mystery is how a civilization without modern machinery created a monument that still challenges engineers today. Imagine standing on the Giza Plateau. The desert wind carries grains of sand across your feet. The air is silent. Then you look up. Stone. Nothing but stone. Yet somehow, more than 2.3 million limestone and granite blocks were shaped, transported, lifted, and positioned with astonishing precision. Some of those stones weigh as much as 80 tons, even today. Moving a single block of that size requires careful planning and specialized equipment. The ancient Egyptians moved millions. No engines, no steel cranes, no hydraulic machines, only human ingenuity. At first glance, the Great Pyramid appears almost simple. 4 sides, a pointed summit, a mountain carved by human hands. But the closer you look, the more impossible it becomes. Its base stretches across nearly 13 acres. Its foundation is astonishingly level, varying only by a small amount across the entire footprint. Its 4 sides are aligned remarkably closely with true north, south, east, and west. Even with today's technology, that level of precision commands respect. Now imagine accomplishing it 45 centuries ago, without laser levels, without GPS, without computers, without written construction plans that have survived to our time. Somewhere, thousands of workers solved problems that modern historians are still trying to understand. How did they measure so accurately? How did they lift stones weighing more than elephants? How did they coordinate one of the largest construction projects in human history with nothing more than the tools of the Bronze Age? Those questions have inspired countless theories. Some speak of forgotten technologies, others imagine lost civilizations. A few even suggest visitors from beyond our world. The evidence, however, points somewhere far more remarkable, to ordinary people who achieved something extraordinary. And the deeper archaeologists investigate, the more astonishing their achievement becomes. Because for centuries, experts believed the Great Pyramid had surrendered all of its secrets. Every chamber had been explored, every passage had been mapped, every mystery had been catalogued, or so they thought. Then, in the 21st century, scientists looked inside the pyramid using a technology the ancient Egyptians could never have imagined. Not drills, not excavation, not explosives. They used particles born high above our planet, traveling through Earth's atmosphere, passing effortlessly through solid stone. What those particles revealed forced archaeologists to confront an extraordinary possibility. After more than 4,500 years, the Great Pyramid was still hiding something, a vast hidden space. No explorer had entered, no ancient text had described, a discovery waiting patiently since the age of the pharaohs, and if an entire hidden void could remain undiscovered until our own lifetime. What else might still be waiting inside the greatest monument ever built? Pause for a moment. Think about what that really means. Generation after generation, people crossed deserts to stand before this monument. Pharaohs believed it would carry them into eternity. Greek historians struggled to explain it. Napoleon is said to have emerged from its chambers deeply shaken. refusing to reveal everything he experienced there. Modern engineers have measured it. Scientists have scanned it. Archaeologists have spent lifetimes studying it. And yet, one astonishing fact remains. The Great Pyramid has never stopped surprising us. Each generation arrives believing it will finally solve the mystery. Instead, it leaves with even more questions. Because the deeper we look into the pyramid, the less it behaves like a relic of the past, and the more it feels like a message, waiting patiently for someone to understand it. That realization led scientists to ask one simple question. What if the pyramid was still hiding rooms that no human being had seen? For more than 4,000 years, for centuries, the only way to uncover the secrets of the Great Pyramid was to break through its walls, stone by stone, passage by passage. Every discovery demanded excavation. Every answer came at a cost. Then, everything changed, not because archaeologists found a new entrance, but because science found a new way to look inside. Imagine trying to read the pages of a sealed book without ever opening the cover. For generations, that seemed impossible, until researchers turned their attention not toward the ground, but toward the sky. Every second, invisible particles known as muons stream through Earth's atmosphere, born when cosmic rays collide with the air high above our planet. These particles travel at extraordinary speeds. They pass effortlessly through clouds, through mountains, even through solid stone. Most of us never notice them, but scientists realized something remarkable. If enough of these particles pass through an object, they can reveal what lies hidden inside, almost like an X-ray, on a monumental scale. In 2015, an international team of researchers launched one of the most ambitious archaeological investigations in modern history. Their goal was almost unbelievable. Look inside the Great Pyramid. Without moving a single stone, no drilling, no explosives, no damage, only patience, physics, and time. The researchers expected to confirm what centuries of exploration had already suggested. Instead, the pyramid offered them a surprise. Hidden high above the Grand Gallery, beyond passages known to explorers for generations, their instruments detected something extraordinary, an enormous empty space, stretching nearly 100 feet, large enough that it could not simply be dismissed as a crack or a flaw in the structure. It was real, a space deliberately left empty by the builders, yet no doorway leads directly into it. No ancient inscription explains its purpose. No surviving record even hints that it exists. Think about that. One of the most studied buildings in human history still contains spaces no one fully understands. For more than 4,500 years, that hidden void waited in complete silence. Kings never entered it. Roman emperors never knew it existed. Napoleon's expedition passed beneath it. Generations of archaeologists walked below it, completely unaware that only a short distance overhead, an entire mystery remained untouched. Some researchers believe the void may have helped relieve structural pressure during construction. Others suggest it could be connected to an undiscovered architectural feature. At this point, no one knows for certain, and perhaps that's what makes the discovery so extraordinary. Not that we found another room, but that after centuries of study, the Great Pyramid still refuses to surrender all of its secrets. Yet the hidden void wasn't the only mystery waiting inside those ancient stones. Elsewhere within the pyramid, 4 impossibly narrow shafts disappear into darkness, barely wide enough for a person to crawl through. 2 extend from the king's chamber, 2 from the queen's chamber. For years, no one knew where they led. Then engineers built something no ancient Egyptian could have imagined: a robot, small enough to travel where no human being could. Its mission seemed simple: follow the shafts, reach the end, and finally discover what had remained hidden. Since the age of the pharaohs, what the camera revealed was not another passage, not an open chamber, but a carefully crafted limestone door, complete with small copper fittings, as though someone expected it to be opened. It looked less like the end of a tunnel and more like the beginning of another mystery. Because if there was a door, who built it? What was behind it? And perhaps, most intriguing of all, who was it meant to keep out? For generations, people have asked the same question. How did they build the Great Pyramid? Some expect a single answer: a forgotten machine, a hidden technology, one incredible discovery that explains everything. Reality is far more fascinating, because the Great Pyramid wasn't built in a single moment. It was built through thousands of decisions, thousands of skilled hands, thousands of minds solving problems, one stone at a time. Archaeologists now believe the pyramid was constructed by a highly organized workforce, not by armies of slaves, as Hollywood has often portrayed, but by laborers, craftsmen, engineers, surveyors, and stonemasons. Many lived in purpose-built communities near the construction site. They received food, medical care, tools, even proper burials. These were not disposable workers. They were specialists entrusted with one of the most ambitious projects in human history. The limestone blocks that formed much of the pyramid were quarried nearby. The massive granite stones used inside the king's chamber traveled hundreds of miles from Aswan, some weighing more than 70 tons. Imagine that journey. No diesel engines, no steel rails, only the Nile, wooden sledges, ropes, and determination. Ancient illustrations show workers pouring water onto the sand ahead of heavy sledges. At first glance, that seems backwards. Wouldn't water make the ground more difficult to cross? Modern experiments revealed something remarkable. Slightly damp sand becomes firmer, reducing friction, making enormous stones easier to pull. Sometimes, ancient knowledge disappears, only to be rediscovered thousands of years later. Then came the greatest challenge of all: lifting those stones higher and higher until they reached nearly 500 feet above the desert floor. How exactly they accomplished that remains one of archaeology's greatest debates. Some researchers support massive straight ramps. Others argue for spiraling ramps wrapping around the pyramid. Still others suggest a combination of different systems, changing as construction progressed. Each theory answers important questions. Each also leaves new ones behind. And perhaps that's exactly what history is meant to do. Not hand us every answer, but remind us how much brilliance has been lost to time. No written construction manual has ever been discovered. No surviving architect left behind a detailed explanation. The voices of the people who solved these problems have been silent for more than 4,000 years. Yet their work continues to speak for them. Every precisely placed stone, every perfectly aligned corner, every chamber hidden within the pyramid is evidence of extraordinary planning, extraordinary patience, and extraordinary intelligence. Perhaps the greatest mistake we can make is assuming ancient people were somehow less capable than we are today. Their tools were simpler, their knowledge was different, but their ability to innovate, to adapt, and to accomplish what seemed impossible may have been every bit as remarkable as our own. And that realization changes everything. Because if human ingenuity alone created the Great Pyramid, then perhaps its greatest secret was never hidden inside its walls. Perhaps it was hidden inside the minds of the people who built it. But time has a way of stealing more than answers. It steals names, stories, treasures, and sometimes entire chapters of history. Long before archaeologists arrived, Others had already entered the Great Pyramid, not in search of knowledge, but in search of something far more valuable. By the time modern archaeologists began carefully studying the Great Pyramid, its greatest treasures were already gone, not because they had vanished on their own, but because countless generations before them had been searching for the same prize: gold, jewels, power. History tells us that tomb robbers targeted royal burial sites for thousands of years. Many entered in secret. Others were likely helped by people who already knew the pyramid's hidden passages. Long before museums, long before archaeology became a science, the pyramids were seen as vaults filled with unimaginable wealth. And wealth has always attracted those willing to risk everything. Today, visitors who step inside the Great Pyramid often expect to find glittering treasures, golden statues, jeweled crowns, ancient weapons. Instead, they find something almost unsettling: silence, empty chambers, bare stone walls. It raises an uncomfortable question. What was taken? We'll probably never know. If precious objects once surrounded Pharaoh Khufu, if sacred texts rested beside him, if ceremonial artifacts filled hidden rooms, most are now lost to history, perhaps melted down, perhaps broken apart, perhaps still buried somewhere, waiting for discovery. Yet the greatest loss may never have been treasure. It may have been knowledge. Imagine if even a single written record had survived. A journal from the chief architect, instructions describing how the stones were raised, drawings explaining the internal design, names of the thousands of workers whose hands shaped history. Instead, time erased almost all of it. The pyramid endured. The people behind it became ghosts, and where history leaves empty spaces, legends begin to grow. Over the centuries, stories spread that disturbing the resting place of Egypt's kings brought terrible consequences. Explorers whispered about mysterious illnesses, unexpected deaths, strange coincidences. By the 20th century, the idea had a name: the Curse of the Pharaohs. Newspapers embraced it, books amplified it, Hollywood transformed it into legend. But history paints a more complicated picture. Most of the famous stories surrounding the curse are linked not to the Great Pyramid, but to the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922. When Lord Carnarvon died, months after the tomb was opened, rumors spread around the world. Some believed the ancient king had taken revenge. Others pointed to coincidence. Scientists have proposed more ordinary explanations, including infections or exposure to mold in sealed spaces. To this day, no convincing evidence has shown that an ancient curse claimed those lives, and yet the legend refuses to disappear, perhaps because it speaks to something deeper. A question every civilization has wrestled with. Should some places remain untouched? Should every mystery be solved? Or are there moments when the past asks us simply to listen? For more than 4,500 years, the Great Pyramid has stood against everything history could throw at it: sandstorms, earthquakes, empires, wars, the rise of civilizations, the collapse of civilizations. Generation after generation has looked upon the same monument and asked the same question: how? Yet perhaps we've been asking the wrong question all along. Maybe the greatest mystery isn't how the Great Pyramid was built. Maybe the greatest mystery is the civilization that imagined it. Think about what that required. Not just strength, but vision, planning, mathematics, astronomy, engineering, organization on a scale the ancient world had never witnessed. Thousands of people working toward a single goal, knowing they would likely never live to see the project completed. That kind of achievement isn't measured only in stone. It's measured in belief. Belief that something worth creating can outlive the people who create it. And in that, the builders succeeded beyond anything they could have imagined. Their language changed. Their empire faded, their names were forgotten, yet their greatest achievement still rises above the desert, commanding the attention of every generation that follows. Perhaps that's why the Great Pyramid continues to fascinate us, not because it claims to have all the answers, but because it reminds us that history is filled with questions still waiting to be explored. Even today, researchers continue scanning the pyramid using new technologies. Every advancement offers another opportunity to uncover something no one has seen for thousands of years. Another hidden chamber, another forgotten passage, another clue, or perhaps another question. And maybe that's exactly as it should be, because the moment every mystery is solved, wonder begins to disappear. The Great Pyramid refuses to let that happen. It challenges us, it humbles us, it reminds us that the ancient world was far more sophisticated than we often imagine. That extraordinary accomplishments don't belong only to the modern age, and that sometimes the greatest discoveries are not the ones we make beneath the sand, but the ones that change the way we see those who came before us. The Great Pyramid has been called a tomb, a monument, a masterpiece of engineering, a wonder of the world. Perhaps it is all of those things, but above all else, it is a message carried across 45 centuries, not written in ink, not carved into papyrus, but written in stone, waiting patiently for every new generation to stand before it, look up, and ask, how? History doesn't always hide its greatest mysteries beneath the earth. Sometimes it hides them in plain sight. If you enjoyed this journey into one of history's greatest mysteries, subscribe and join us for the next exploration. There are countless ancient wonders, forgotten civilizations, and unsolved mysteries still waiting to be uncovered. Until next time, stay curious and never stop searching for the stories history has yet to reveal.